Hello and good evening. Welcome to the Boxing Day edition of News 360, coming to you live from our studios here at Adesanwe in Accra. My name is Solis Rose Korte.
And my name is Alfred Okanse. Coming up in the bulletin tonight.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by
TV3 secures exclusive photos and videos of some illegal miners operating in the heart of the Etiwa forest.
And some patients at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital begin relapsing owing to shortage of drugs.
Also in the news, Ghana made items still struggling to rub shoulders with foreign-made goods in a hamper.
And in international news, voting ends in Liberia's runoff elections. Tonight, we predict the possible winner. Our details of all these coming up shortly. Let's start off with some news from the Etiwa forest. And TV3 has secured exclusive photos and videos of some illegal miners operating in the heart of the Etiwa forest. The pictures, which were taken with a hidden camera by environmental civil society group Arosha Ghana, capture some illegal miners busily working. Some are also pictured resting in what appears to be a makeshift tent, providing shelter for them.
These illegal miners, according to the civil society group, operate under the cover of darkness and at the blind side of the Operation Vanguard team. The pictures were taken with a hidden camera by environmental civil society group Arocha Ghana. This comes after some 14 illegal miners operating on the Ofin River at Manso Keniago in the Amansia West district of the Ashanti region were arrested by a combined team of the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners, the Amansia West District Assembly's task force, and the police. The Etiwa forest currently serves as a source for 3 rivers, namely the Densu, Brim, and Ayensu, which supplies the Wager Water Dam in Accra and serves over 5 million of Ghana's population with drinking water. Already, concerns have been raised by some civil society groups that mining the bauxite in the Etiwa forest might be detrimental to the forest reserve and also affect water bodies in the area. Government has clarified that the Etiwa forest might not be considered for bauxite exploration, and even if it is, this could be done without destroying the reserve, a statement which civil society groups have disputed. The group is calling on government to intensify its operations in and around the Etiwa forest area to clamp down on what it described as a continuous destruction of resources in the forest.
It's very revealing and clearly questions what exactly is going on in the Etiwa forest, especially when you look at the pictures there and the boldness that these illegal miners have to pitch a tent, a makeshift tent there in broad daylight, literally living there and mining illegally. And we do know that the Operation Vanguard is stationed there, and they've disputed this particular story, but these are the pictures that we have telling exactly what the situation is in the Etiwa forest. Darrell Bosu is the National Programs Director of Arocha Ghana. Now, they put out these pictures and the hidden camera that you saw putting out those pictures, and we do have it exclusively. Thank you, Darrell, for your time this evening via Skype. Now, these pictures are very revealing. Now, when exactly did you first detect the operations of these illegal miners in the Etiwa forest?
Thank you, Alfred, and good evening to you, and the best of the season to your team out there.
Thank you.
Yes. In terms of mining in the forest, I think we noticed activities right after the ban, and even whilst the ban was, before the ban came into force, there were some few Galamsey operators who were working busily in the forest reserve. But I think with the ban that came in early March, we've seen an increase in mining activities ongoing in the forest. But most of these Galamsey operators, they want to hide away from the broad daylight activities and engage in their illegal activities in the dark of the forest and also in the night. As you all know, we have the Vanguard team working very actively by day, but in the nights, you don't see them so active. So these Galamsey operators have also devised other means or modus operandi to work in the dark of the night. And some of them go with headlamps and also some of their own generator-powered lights, which enables them to work even when it is very dark. And most of these activities are going on in the forest reserve.
I see. We're going to show some of the pictures which we have exclusively right now as we go on. But when exactly were these pictures taken, the ones that we've just shown to our viewers? When did you take this? The
pictures you are seeing now, they are just about 3 weeks old. And I will say that just last week, the 22nd of this month, we're in the ground again, and we saw almost the same thing we are seeing from 3 weeks ago. So nothing has changed on the ground as I speak. There are still these active Galamsey activities going on in the forest. And like I said, these guys are working in the thick of the night. They actually go in the night with their foodstuffs, go and work, and then by day they rest in the community. So when they are going back into the forest in the evening, they go with their foodstuffs so they can work and also feed themselves. So these pictures are very fresh, I'll say 3 weeks ago, and I'll say on the 22nd, we have similar pictures depicting that these activities have not ceased, they are still ongoing.
I mean, the forest is big in terms of land size. Okay, so
yes.
So where exactly the part of the forest is this going on? Because we earlier spoke to Operation Vanguard about this particular story. When you first gave us indication of this some 3 weeks ago, they denied it, that this is not what is happening. So where exactly in that part of the forest is this going on?
Okay. Right, so I will say that if you take, in terms of where exactly these activities are happening, if you take the Kwabeng Atiwa district, so that is towards the western side of the forest reserve. If you take the Atiwa district end of the forest reserve, if you also take the Denchambo Akwetia district end of the forest reserve, looking at Pameng, Kobriso, and all those communities towards the western side of the forest reserve, this is where all these illegal activities are happening. And most of these communities dotted around the forest on the western side, they sneak into the forest in the night to do the Galamsey because they know that by day, everybody thinks that they are resting, but by night, they just sneak in from the western side of the forest. So if Vanguard is really interested in looking at what is happening in the forest, they need to engage and also get into the forest by night from communities like Pameng and also communities like Kobriso, and I'm sure they'll get to see what we are talking about.
I mean, does this answer the question of what could have emboldened these illegal miners to pitch makeshift tents and literally live there, as you're saying? Because what we're seeing there is some of them lying down, taking a rest, and being comfortable in the whole process, as you're seeing on your screens right now. What exactly, from what you've observed, could have emboldened them to want to do this at the time when we know that government is very heavy on Galamsey?
Yes, I think they are just realizing the strategy of the Vanguard team, and they are just adapting to the process. So in a sense, it's a challenge also to the Vanguard team. If you, first of all, start off with a strategy to get people out of the mining site by day, the operators are saying that, okay, we know you are working by day. We are also going to change our strategy. And if Vanguard team does not also change their strategy to counteract what they are doing, people are still going to keep mining in the night because they know that the Vanguard team works by. So it's just a matter of strengthening the strategies or even making it more covert in terms of the work that Vanguard is doing, so they can really get to these people who think that they can get away in the dark of the night. And that is why I think that if they strengthen the compliance issues and enforcement, but not only limited to
right. Have you shared this information, this exclusive photos you had with your hidden cameras in the forest? Have you shared it with the Operation Vanguard team or the Forestry Commission? I do know that they take control over the forest there.
Yes, so immediately we got the videos. We quickly shared with some of the top management of the people in the Forestry Service Division.
Right.
I mean, some of them are friends, and so we quickly shared it with them. They asked about the location and all of these things, but I'm yet to see any action on their part to get to address these issues.
Mr. Boso, thank you very much for your time this evening. I'm grateful. I see the Christmas lights behind you. Do enjoy your holidays. But Dara Bosso is the programs director, the national programs director of Arocha Ghana. They have released some exclusive photos and videos of some illegal mining activities in the heart of the Etua Forest.
News 360 Skype interview is brought to you by MTN. Everywhere you go.
Now let's do some mental health issues. Some patients at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital have begun relapsing, posing a threat to health workers due to lack of medication. As at Tuesday, December 26, not even a pack of paracetamol was in stock. Peter Kwao Adato reports nurses have had to rush to nearby pharmacies for medication in response to emergency cases.
For many years, the Accra Psychiatric Hospital has been in the news for varied reasons ranging from shortage of food items and congestion. Poor infrastructure, lack of medicals and staff conditions of service have become prominent. The situation became worse in 2017, prompting a number of industrial actions. Patients and staff continue to go through challenges, albeit in the quiet. First is the lack of medication. Since the collapse of the Central Medical Stores in 2015, the hospital has been on erratic supply of medicals. Officials say the situation sometimes gets out of hand, resulting in patients relapsing and becoming a threat to staff.
We have another type of medication we call psychotropic drugs. That one is acute shortage, and now it's making the patients to be agitated and restless and aggressive. Sometimes those nurses on duty, they do beat them because there is no medication for them.
Prior to the donation of these few boxes of paracetamol and brufen from Step by Step on Tuesday, December 26, the drugstore was empty.
Because as at now, the hospital, we don't have paracetamol at our dispensary. No paracetamol. So if patient is physically sick, the hospital buy the drugs for that particular patient. But this one, I think it will help us to solve at least small problem we are facing on patient medication.
Of much concern to the medical staff is the state of the infrastructure. Commissioned in 1906, the Accra Psychiatric Hospital has not received any major renovation. The roofs are weak as other metal fittings have become rusty. Doors to most of the rooms are damaged or completely removed, resulting in frequent escape at night. The Vice President, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Baumia, during the 2017 Eid al-Fitr, promised to ensure the renovation of the main male ward, but this is yet to materialize. Church groups like the West Volta Presbytery Women Fellowship have stepped in to help.
Every year we try to do something because you don't know who will come here. You may be one of them. So every year, as much as we can, we try to renovate the place, make it comfortable for the patients.
Another major challenge in the hospital is access to water. The entire facility relies on boreholes, which is inadequate. This one, constructed by the late Professor Arthur Mills, is yet to be connected to the system. This one too has stopped functioning for many years. Patients have had to fetch from available ones donated by philanthropists.
I am appealing to all Ghanaians who can to give to this type of people. There is nobody who will help them unless we, the outside people, who can help them.
On 26 December, a number of groups joined the West Volta Presbytery Women Fellowship, which has adopted a female observation ward to present assorted items to the inmate as part of their annual rituals.
Well, so following this particular story, Kinley, we made efforts to speak to the Mental Health Authority, but we've not received any responses as yet. But still, that in our subsequent bulletins is going to be a lot more on the situation at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital, as you just saw there. But Boxing Day, no doubt, is a borrowed culture adopted by some elite Ghanaians. The tradition is to box gifts for loved ones. But as Wendy Lai reports, social media has taken over the giving of presents, with friends sending virtual gifts.
Boxing Day is a day to spend with family and friends and to share love and gifts. Celebrated on December 26 each year, it is a national holiday in Ghana. On the internet, there are stories of the origin of the name, but none are conclusive. First is that the day after Christmas was when servants of the wealthy were given time off to visit their family as they were needed to work on Christmas Day. Each servant would be given a box to take home with food, a bonus and gifts. Another is that in the Victorian era, churches often displayed a box for parishioners to donate money. But what do people understand of the day, and what is the ideal gift they would want for themselves or give out to loved ones? Here are some answers to our Facebook question. The news team got mixed responses.
During Christmas, after the festive season where people actually try and give gifts to their loved ones and their friends. And so the term Boxing Day actually was carved out of such events where you have to box your presents and then give to a friend or a colleague or somebody who is dear to your heart.
I know Boxing Day is mainly about giving of gifts to people.
Boxing Day is when, mostly in Ghana, people get together to celebrate, have feast and drink, and also make memories.
Boxing Day is like enjoying yourself and boxing your friend. I just gave my mobile money friend $100 today to enjoy herself.
I think Boxing Day is being meant to maybe remember Ghana boxing.
28-year-old Gilbert Ekomoni was however worried social media has taken over the giving of gifts, with friends presenting virtual gifts.
In the advent of technology and all that, you don't really actually get a lot of gifts in the terms of box that has been sent to you and all that, but maybe via text messages and all that.
Now to some other stories. Bernice is struggling through her education with a deformity that she suffered when she was 9 years old. After virtually lying down to write her BECE, her problems at the senior high school level seem to have worsened. She struggles to sit through lessons. She needs 95,000 Ghana cedis. Bright Nana Amfo's report.
Bernice has a potential of doing well. She's trying. Despite her incapability or disability, she still tries to rub shoulders with her other colleagues who are capable. She tries to relate well, but then there's that inferiority complex. So you realize that at times she's quiet when her other colleagues are jumping, doing other stuff. Then she sits down quietly looking at them, and you could see the sadness in her face.
This nearly threw Bernice out of the boarding house, and this would have meant her dropping out. She lives some kilometers away from Adaklu Waya, the capital of the Adaklu district. Her admission at the Adaklu Senior High School has saved her education. Her condition has not deterred her from helping her family. I met her at home doing house chores despite her disability. Her condition is bad.
I want people to help me for my sickness to be done for me, and I can concentrate on my book and learn hard to become my future. If I sit down for a long period, I feel pains. So if I'm learning small, then I'll pack the books and rest. Sometimes I put my head on the table to sleep small before starts again.
She can hardly sleep well at night. Doctors at the Focus Orthopedic Hospital in Accra say she needs 95,000 cedis to undergo surgery. Her family can't afford it. They are peasant farmers.
Some group, Blue Education Trust Fund, they came and donate something, and then Adaklu platform, they also came and donate something, but still we didn't reach any. Yeah, so I'm begging the people to help us.
bubbly and hard working at school, she has many friends who support her. She can't do a lot of things on her own. A brilliant student, learning is a difficulty due to this. The school didn't want to admit her to the boarding house due to her condition.
Bernice, what do you know about this topic, self-identity?
Self-identity is the state of a complete talent, social and
Yeah, you're on course.
I think she's not fit as such at this moment to be in the boarding house because she cannot fetch water on her own, go to the bathhouse, carry the water and go and bath, wash her things. Even at the dining hall, the rate at which she can eat is rather different from what the friends can do.
She struggles to sit through lessons.
She was admitted because the school felt she could do better and develop herself. According to school authorities, she's responding. She's able to mingle with her friends and she's doing quite well. What is needed is to put her in a classroom that is convenient. The chair on which she sits at the moment is not convenient. She's unable to sit for long hours and she had to get up and squat throughout lessons in order to complete the day. Teachers are saying that Bernice is a brilliant student and she needs all the support to be able to complete her education.
Surgery at a cost of 95,000 cedis will enable her live a normal life and complete school. Though she takes part in school activities, it is with difficulty due to her condition, and she easily gets tired. Bernice needs help. Doctors say she can live a normal life if the money is raised. Her family appeals to individuals and organizations to come to her aid. Contact the 3 Foundation if you want to help Bernice. Help save Bernice's education.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Boxing Day edition of the Business News. My name is Pa Kwesi Asare. Let's begin with our very first story. And many naturally give out gifts during festive seasons. The Christmas season and demand for hampers have come to stay. Now, in spite of efforts to encourage Ghanaians to patronize goods produced locally, most of the hampers on sale contain imported products. My colleague Selma Menya reports vendors attribute this to the demand for only quality goods.
Most gift shops begin the stocking of hampers as Christmas approaches. Hampers have become the best choice for many as it contains carefully selected assorted products. But how many of these are made in Ghana?
Hampers have resurfaced again as the Yuletide is here with us. However, local content is missing as majority of these products and gifts are imported. This is in a sharp contrast to the campaign for all to patronize made in Ghana goods.
A lot of goodies from rice, chocolate, sweet, tea, wine and spirits to confectionaries are being packed. Although some shops stock the hampers based on the order placed, others stock them looking at the demand for the product. The price of the hamper ranges from 100 cedis to 400 cedis. Rita Mpuma Seidu is the owner of the Obiba Suprino Enterprise, also known as Alabama Atusu. She is busily stocking up hampers on Boxing Day and says the imported product sell faster.
Rice Ghana made by basket Ghana made.
The rice, whiskey and other confectionaries are not made in Ghana, but the basket is. I am also a Ghanaian. That brings a balance, but Ghanaians patronize the hampers more than foreigners.
Rita also revealed that some individuals bring in their own products to be stocked for them, and some of them include made in Ghana products.
African wear the bar near their shim near their.
Some purchase African wares and others buying hampers for their parents come along with made in Ghana textiles and clothes.
Jessica and her sisters are helping their mom stock up hampers. Over here, one might find 1 or 2 made in Ghana products in the hamper. Jessica explained some customers do not consider the content but the size and price. According to her, demand for imported products is high compared to Ghana-made products.
Most of the products here are imported products. Just a few of them are made in Ghana goods. This is because the demand is very high. The demand for the imported products are very high.
Choosing a Christmas hamper often comes down to one's recipient and their personal preferences. It is obvious government efforts need to be scaled up if the campaign for the promotion of made in Ghana goods and services would be successful.
All right, still in the Christmas mood, some cane weavers in Accra have called on government to rejuvenate the cane factory at Achim Enuesi in the eastern region to help reduce unemployment rates in the country. Well, according to them, business has been good this year as compared to previous years. They have sold over 500 woven baskets and anticipate to sell even more as the year wraps up.
The Switchback Road near Cantonments is one of the cane weaving hubs in Accra. Here, a cluster of carpenters, weavers and craftsmen produce various artworks using cane and other local materials. Woven baskets and boxes come in various sizes and designs, and the prices range from 5 to 50 cedis depending on the material used and the quality. Head of a cane weaving group, Kweku Ofori, and his apprentice weavers were busy on Tuesday morning, eagerly weaving more baskets to cash in during the festive period and beyond. He told the news team business has been very good this year.
I have sold over 1,000 baskets this period.
Another cane weaver who has been in the business for over 20 years, Kwesi Owusu, shared similar sentiments.
We have sold all our baskets, but the past government's directive which banned the sharing of hampers among public sector workers should be relooked to boost our business.
The cane weavers, whilst lauding the One District, One Factory policy, called on government to support the people of Achim Enuesi by rejuvenating the cane weaving factory.
I am pleading with government to revamp the cane weaving factory at Achim Enuesi because the cane weaving business is very lucrative.
You're still watching the business news live here on News 360. My name is Pakwesi Asare. Before we wrap up, the prevalence of corruption in the judiciary in West African states has been identified to be affecting economic growth in the sub-region. Well, money laundering and other financial crimes are said to be thriving under the circumstance. These were part of highlights of a 3-day regional workshop on money laundering and terrorist financing organized by Djaba in Sali in Senegal.
The development has eroded the confidence of the people in the judiciary, leading to several adverse consequences. For instance, it was identified that the increase in jungle justice in Ghana was a direct outcome of the lack of justice for the common man, which is blamed on the recent expose of judicial corruption. Judicial corruption has equally affected the economy of Nigeria, as foreign investors do not have confidence in the economy, which was part of the reasons the country was plunged into recession.
That there is need for improvement in the justice system because most of the problems we are having is that in our region we have not been able to prosecute a large number because of the judicial system that takes a lot of time for cases to be tried and prosecuted.
He wanted journalists to be involved in the anti-money laundering campaign.
Journalists are those who are going to make the information available to the general public. Most of the time, the supervisors only talk to the entity they are supervising. The law enforcement will only apprehend those that have caught.
It has therefore become imperative that the capacities of journalists are built on how best to report on money laundering, which has caused so much economic damage to the continent. And that is why Djaba has brought together journalists from all 15 member states of ECOWAS to be trained on investigative reporting on money laundering and other financial crimes. The over 40 participants were taken through techniques on investigative reporting strategies, sources, the use of social media and other innovative ways of creating awareness about money laundering and the adverse impact on Africa's economy. GIABA is an institution of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, responsible for facilitating the adoption and implementation of anti-money laundering and counter-financing of terrorism in West Africa. Catherine Frimpoma, TV3, Sali, Senegal.
Well, that's all for the business segment of News 360. For more news, you can log on to our website, 3news.com. My name is Pakusi Osari. We'll return with the very latest in the world of sports. Welcome on International Front this evening. Liberians are anxiously waiting for a new president as polls in the presidential runoff ends. Former international footballer George Oponwea and Vice President Joseph Boakai are up for the presidency. The 51-year-old one-time footballer of the year led the first round with 38%, whilst his opponent got 28%, 10% shot up. None of them, however, attained the required 50% of votes for an outright win, leading to the runoff. More than 2 million eligible voters were expected to cast their ballots in a country of 4.6 million people. Legal challenges delayed the vote to replace Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Africa's first elected female president. Liberia, which was founded by freed U.S. slaves in the 19th century, has not had a smooth transfer of power from one party to the other in 73 years. Both candidates campaigned on the massive economic transformation in Liberia. So as you see those screens, voting ended a little over an hour ago at 6 p.m. That's 18 hours GMT. We are closely monitoring the situation there to let you know exactly what happens. We have our correspondents in there who are feeding us with information on the ground. But before we get into a lot more on this, Solis Roscote is going to run us through some basics of what's been happening in Liberia. Solis, can you run us through this, and then we'll get into
all right, so with the runoff that went on today from 6 a.m. GMT to, or rather 8 a.m. GMT to 1800 hours, that's 6 p.m. GMT, basically is a follow-up to the general elections that happened on the 10th of October 2017 to elect the president who would take over from Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the first African female president. Now, no candidate won the majority vote that is expected. That's 50%. We had Mr. George Weah taking 38% and the opponent, Mr. Boakai, who had 28%. Now, George Oponwea, the CDC, as I said, is 38 and then 28 for them both. Now, the runoff was originally scheduled for November 7, but there were some illegal wranglings, and so they were not able to do that. For those of you who might be wondering why the runoff had to happen on during Christmas or on Boxing Day, well, per Liberia law, you cannot have an election unless it's on a Tuesday, and it has to be before December. And so, considering the fact that the next Tuesday would be in the new year, it had to be the last resort being today, the 26th of December 2017. Now let's do some other facts that Mr. Boakai and Mr. Oponwea were the top two candidates who came out from the major election with 18 other candidates. So it was 20 in all, and they came up as the top two. Now, this election is extremely important, primarily because this would be the first time that Liberia would experience a transfer of power from one elected leader to another in 73 years. Well, Alfred, over to you.
Solis, thank you very much for that wrap of what's happening in Liberia. I've been joined in studio by Martin Togbo. He is the Public Relations Officer of the United Liberians Association in Ghana. That's the ULAG. It's good to have you, Mr. Togbo. Now, how important is this election for you, and what's happening in Liberia now?
First of all, I want to say good evening to your cherished viewers, and Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. First of all, this election is going to mark a very turning point to break the class struggle between the growing population in Liberia. So we are hoping that things will go well.
I see. But how will the outcome, I mean, impact on you, the Liberians living in Ghana? Meaning two scenarios, if George Oponwia wins or Joseph Boakai wins, in both ways.
Well, the point is we want peace, and we believe if the majority of the people...
Liberia has been enjoying some amount of peace for now. I mean,
the point is...
What kind of peace are you looking for?
When we talk of relative peace, we talk of peace in its totality, where people will be satisfied with the outcome of the elections, and there will be no what we call wranglings. As you know, elections, dispute tends to bring all sorts of things. So when the people have spoken, you know, regardless of who may be in favor or not, the people have spoken, and their verdict or mandate must be respected. You see, so for us in Ghana, we have worked behind the scene. Our representatives and our observers are on the ground to see how best things will go. Okay.
I say, but Liberia is enjoying some relative peace there. I mean, some of you refugees have decided to still stay in Ghana.
Yeah.
I mean, how will this outcome of this election encourage or motivate you to go back to your country?
Yes. One thing will be that the outcome of this election will give us the, excuse me to say, those who are here doing some other work, will give us the confidence and will give us the stability of mind to go back home to rebuild. Some who are here on various programs. Are you getting me? Right. Some are also working and some are schooling. You know, it is only very few who may be wondering about.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Togo, as always, for joining us this evening. Now, I'm going to go onto the telephone, and let's still stay a bit further with this particular issue in Liberia. Dr. Vladimir Njudanso is an international relations expert, joined me on the telephone. Dr. Njudanso, thank you very much for your time this evening. In 2005, I recall, George Oponwia led the first round, but the second round, he lost. I mean, with your reading of the situation and what's happening there in Liberia, do you see this repeating itself again, or it could just be a clean sheet for George Oponwia?
Good evening and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to your cherished viewers. And as to the point is this, that people say history repeats itself. I do not think it's the case all the time. It looks as though this time Oponwia has gotten all that it takes to become the president. I mean, the popularity is high. The constituency which is supporting him is also very high. And things are going in his favor in the sense that people remember that history, number one. Number two, the postponement was for him because there will be voter apathy, and I strongly suspect that his ardent supporters are going to go in for him this time.
So you're predicting that George Oponwia will win this election?
I think so. I think so. There is every indication that he's going to win this election.
But if you look at what's in the run-up to today, Joseph Boakai has also been enjoying a campaign of him being incorruptible, especially in a time when corruption is a major issue in Liberia now.
True, but voters look at other credentials, other criteria in voting. It could be the charisma of the person, it could be anything. It could be the tribe, it could be anything. But this time you could see that those who were disappointed in 2005 and 2011 are bent on seeing Oponwia win. It doesn't mean that I'm rooting for him, but I may be mistaken, but there is every indication that he's going to win. Yes, the vice president has also shown strong credentials, and if credentials are anything to go by, then of course Liberians would have to vote for him anyway.
Dr. Vladimir Njudanso, thank you very much for your time this evening, and I'm grateful.
You're very welcome.
Dr. Vladimir Njudanso is an international relations expert joining us on the telephone on this, but I'm grateful so much for your time. You would also go by the prediction that George Oponwia is going to win this election?
Likely so. It's likely so.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Martin Tobo, for your time this evening. He is the public relations officer of the United Liberians Association in Ghana. That's Yolak they're speaking to. Let's go into it for some entertainment news. Ghana's prolific rapper Sarkodie put yet another amazing show with his Rapaholic 2017 concert. Even though the late start of the event got fans agitating, back-to-back performances from different artists made up for the delay.
After hours of waiting, patrons of this year's Rapaholic concert had value for their money. The show took off on a jerky note due to the late start and stampede at the various entrances. The 5th edition of the annual event was power-packed that had all floors of the auditorium filled to capacity. Some fans who could not get seats stood in between rows. One after the other, artists took turns to treat the audience to their favorite songs and keep what they term the official Christmas party going. Although patrons were excited and jammed along every song, some hits resulted in a rapturous chorus. However, unlike last year, there were not a lot of foreign artists on the bill. Could it be an attempt by organizers to look within?
Wow. Okay.
Amazing. And the thing
people
goes,
yes.
You know that song? You've been singing around, and I thought it was just a mix of words.
Well, it technically was. It was a skit that turned into a hit.
Amazing.
It's just one of those things. But my name is Thomas Rose
Probably just
Quartey.
put together some words. It could be a hit.
It is
You
a
never
hit.
know. My song.
Oh, you're
in 2018.
okay.
Watch out for that.
Right.
My name is Alfred Okanse.
And I'm Solly Rose Quartey. Good night.